Alright, so my lesson is geared towards grade 8 level, and we're looking at the topic of density. Alright, so how many of you guys can just do this by show of hands, how many of you guys have been swimming?
Yeah.
Everyone here, okay. And think back the last time you were swimming. Have you guys been swimming in fresh water or salt water?
Fresh.
Both. Done both. Yeah. And did you notice if there was a difference in how you were able to float in either type of water? Like swimming in the lake versus swimming in the ocean? Did you find one easier to float in?
I've never been swimming in the ocean, so I don't know.
You don't know?
I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
I don't think I floated much in the lake.
Never paid attention.
I just threw a football.
Alright. So now we've been thinking about that. So when we do this lesson, maybe it will jog your memory a little bit and you will be able to recall how it was. Alright, so I'm going to do a couple definitions that I want you to know before we go over our demo. So we have the definition of mass. Now, does anybody know what that definition is? No? So mass is the amount of water. Amount of matter. And does anybody know what the definition of volume is?
The amount of space it takes up?
The amount of space that what takes up?
The matter.
Yes. Alright, and then does anybody remember the formula to density?
Mass over
It's
water.
divided by volume.
Yes. So the definition of density then is the mass per unit of volume. Alright, for our demo. You need enough water in here to cover our egg. I have raw egg here today. Alright, so we have 800 milliliters of water. So just mark that so you guys can see. And so when I put this egg into the fresh water, do you guys think it's going to float or sink? We'll go around.
Sink.
Floats.
I think sink.
Okay, so we have sink, a float, and on the fence.
Yeah.
Sink.
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 Okay, let's test it out.
Aww.
So our egg is sinking. That means that the egg is more dense than the water.
Yes.
Yes. Alright. And we notice that the water, it's displaced some of the water, so the water's gone up a little bit more. Alright, so what do you think is going to happen to the egg when I start to add salt into the water?
I don't know if anything will change.
What do you think is going to
I
happen?
don't think anything's going to change either.
Think anything's going to change, Sherilyn?
Yeah.
What? What do you think is going to change?
The egg will float
Why do you think that?
because the salt does something with the water.
Okay. Salt does something to the water. How about you? What do you think is going to happen?
The salt will make the water more dense, so the egg will start to rise and float.
I was going to say the same
Say
thing.
the
though.
same thing.
Are
Okay.
you going to dissolve the salt or just pour it in?
I'm just pouring it in the. We'll stir it around. It didn't give like measurements, so future-wise, it'd be good to know what measurement of salt, because it does need to dissolve into the water. We have to be gentle because we don't want
You want a straw?
Oh no.
I've got a, oh no, don't
I
use
got
my
like
spoon.
50 straws.
It might take a little while. I guess it it just said to use normal water, but I think using like warm water to dissolve salt faster would
Oh,
work.
there we go.
But as you can see, oh, maybe not. Maybe it's just because the water's moving. Let's just let it
You probably need to add more salt.
settle. Lots of salt in the bottom, though. Oh,
Looks like it's trying to go off.
I feel like it needs to dissolve more. Okay. Whoa, wait. What is supposed to happen is that we are supposed to watch the egg slowly rise up. Because of what Kristen said, the water becomes more dense than the egg, and therefore the egg's able to float. Oh, I think maybe it's floating now, if you can look. Swirling around. So the egg is floating, so we've caused the water to become more dense than the egg itself. And then we would be able to find out the density by using this formula. So as you noticed, I was marking like where the water rose up to. So if you use that, then that's your volume. Because that's how much water the egg is displaced. And then we would just use our formula. And then you can use this formula for lots of different substances into the water. So what I would get you guys to do is we would experiment using oil, sugar, and syrup to see if that affected if it was more dense in water than just the egg. Anybody have any questions?
So, you said the density. The salt increased the density?
Yes, the
Okay.
salt makes the water more dense.
And you had to mix.
Yeah, it had to
Yeah,
dissolve
okay.
into the water. So the water, plain water by itself, the egg was more dense than that. And so then when we added the salt, that increased the density. So that's like when you go swimming in the ocean, because the ocean is salty, you're supposed to be able to float easier than if you were to go swimming in like a lake or a pool or a river. Do you have a question, Charlotte?
No.
No? Okay. So that's like saying, so if we had done this with sugar, does sugar cause the water to become more dense than the egg? But then that's like a different property, like salt has a different property than sugar, so you could experiment and see, and then you could, using the formula, find out what the density of those different items are. Very good.